Thank you very much. That is Randy Word with Randy Word out of the Pacific Northwest. So it's Word Web Design, Word Racing. One of his home tracks is Canby. His other home track is McMinnville. And I almost have to say, from day one, he was kind of on board the Norcal Karter project, and he just said, "Hey, what can I do to help you out?" And I'm not a web guy at all. I'm not a web guy at all. Well, that's Randy's background. And so Randy offered a lot of help. So Word Racing, thank you very much. And for any of you that are getting this, you can go to Norcal Karters on Facebook and click on my last post. I just pinned it to the top of the page. I'm listing the sponsors, no particular order, but I did start with the ones that were there first. Another company, John at Fast Tech Racing. Fast Tech Racing is one of the bigger online part suppliers. And when I first called him, probably 4 or 5 years ago already with Norcal Karters, I said, "Hey, do you want to help support this project?" And he's all, "Sure. What's it going to take?" I sent him a little bit of a crappy proposal. And he said, "Yep, sign me up." And it was just like that. And I've noticed over the years, working in the industry, you have to give me a pass on this because I'm on both sides. I work in the industry. And I have a hard time when online guys use discount pricing as their only value that they offer to racers. And there's a large segment of racers that only care about price. I understand that. But being that I have to compete against that, it's frustrating because at the company I work for, we do not focus on discount services or products. We focus on customer support and proper service to the end user, but hands-on. So it's kind of at both ends of it. But I have to say, John at Fast Tech, I don't know how many kart tracks I've been to. I've been to a lot of kart tracks throughout the whole country. And damned if I'll be that at almost every single one of those kart tracks, there wasn't a $25 gift certificate given out at the podiums from Fast Tech Racing. And so you gotta look at that. You have to look at, okay, maybe he has some of the cheaper prices and some of the industry people aren't real thrilled with that. But as a racer, you look at it and go, wait a second. Last time I was at a podium at Blue Max, John at Fast Tech gave away $25 to everybody on the podium. So you just got to learn, okay, that's just a different business style. And again, John was one of the very first guys when I started Norcal Karters almost 5 years ago. That's like, "Yep, sign me up." Boom, done. And so yeah, Fast Tech Racing. Karting Concepts. My buddy Patrick Newton. He's a pain in the ass. He's the first guy that put me in a Briggs kart, and he just would not leave me alone. He would call the shop. And he was a very good customer of the shop I work for. He's like, "Dude, you need to try this Briggs. You need to try this Briggs." And I kept telling Patrick, it's like, "No, I'm a shifter guy. I'm not going to run a lawnmower engine." He goes, "No, you got to try it. You got to try it. You got to try it." Well, Patrick threw together a couple of races at the Blue Mac Kart Club. He called one of them the GT event. And it was a 50-lap race. It was Briggs, clones, world formulas. So basically 4 strokes. And he said, "Come on out." He put me in a go-kart. And I had just one of the most memorable experiences kart racing that I had ever. And it wasn't because I was scared to go 49 miles an hour. We had 35 or 40 guys on the track at the same time. Keep in mind the track is about a half mile long. In a Briggs kart, a lap time is right around 40 seconds. In a shifter kart, with a good shifter kart driver, it's right around 33 seconds. So it's a small sprint style track that just really suited the Briggs stuff because it's small. And yeah, so Patrick with Karting Concepts put me in the Briggs package, and I walked away. It's like, man, sign me up. I turned around, I bought a cart, got an engine, and I started doing the Briggs stuff at the local club level, and I had a lot of time. Since he's moved his focus on to sim racing, and it's Turn 2 Racing. So turn numerical 2 racing.com. So go check that out for Patrick Newton. But he's really put his attention on sim racing. And if you're a karter looking to get into the sim world, give him a call. Don't waste a bunch of his time. If you don't know how to set up your steering wheel or your monitor, whatever, call him. Maybe ask him how much does he charge for a consultation. He'll probably do it for free because he's just such a good dude. But don't waste his time. Put some money in his pocket. And he's been doing the sim stuff for a couple of years. He's built a number of different advanced simulators. So he knows what he's doing. But I have to give a shout out to Patrick Newton. And then the other shout out to TibbyCartUSA.com. My buddy Farshad out in Florida. He's supplied me with a couple of Tibby Cart chassis. And for the company I work for during the day, I've used a couple of them during our videos. And then for the NorCal stuff, I used the chassis for some video stuff. And again, Farshad was one of those guys from the beginning that was just, well, what can I do to help? And I think too often in karting or just in life, there's a lot of connections that are being made in karting. And there's a number of us that would not be able to afford to race without the help that we get from the outside people. And I think too often we try to turn it into a marketing ad or a slick sales pitch. But really, it's karting. It's not that sophisticated. And, guys like Farshad, he knew from the get-go. He's all, hey, just do what you do. And I'm not going to be a slick salesperson and try to turn this into a TB cart ad or anything else. Like, hey, I run it. He helped me out. Boom, boom. That's what it is. But again, from day one, he was one of those guys like, hey, what do you need? Where can I help here? Where can I help there? And it's always tough because my day job, I work for a prominent engine builder. And my day job, I walk a tight line. We don't try to stand behind one particular brand because we try to stay as neutral as possible, because we're not building engines only for the chassis we sell, because we don't sell chassis at that specific engine shop. We only build engines. So we have to be very neutral. And, we'll push business to our other shops or dealers that are, obviously buying engines from us and that have a good product, have good customer support, etc. And Farshad really understood that from day one. He's like, I don't care. He goes, just do what you do. And there's been a number of videos we've been able to do, and the TB cart is in the background or in the forefront because of that. And so Farshad, thank you very much. I mean, I appreciate it. It's you and I have had many conversations. It's just thank you. Another buddy of mine, Kart Pulse, James McMahon. He's like me. He's a lot more techie, but he just has a passion for karting. And this guy's been around karting for a long time, going all the way back to Ireland. And he has a website called kartpulse.com. And he created Kart Pulse because he wasn't really, I guess satisfied is the right word, of the general sites that were available to kart racers. He wanted to have more of a community, like a true community, maybe almost like a social media network. And he developed kartpulse.com. And it's what I like about Kart Pulse. I haven't been on there in a couple of months, I'm not going to lie. You go on his forums and you can see it. I haven't posted in a long time. But it really reminds me of some of the earlier karting forums, like eKarting News, where people were genuinely engaged with the forum, trying to get new people into the sport. There were, I don't know, 5 or 10 guys that were kind of the stalwarts of the forums that always had a little bit of information to help the new guy just find that next step. And as I go through the Kart Pulse forums, it reminds me of those early days of the karting forums. And on the back end, James has been extremely helpful with a lot of my tech tips. Not tech tips. Tech questions. That's a better way of putting it. James has been very open. I mean, some of us could look at us as competitors. I have the Norcal Karting thing. I'm not really a media guy. I'm just trying to get information. I'm trying to get information out to the racer so they can make their best decision. I feel media puts information out there to change your opinion or swayed your opinion. Swayed. Oh, what a fucking idiot I am. It's not suede. It's not leather. It's sway. Sway your decision. Excuse my language, kids. And I feel like James and I are on the same page. So it's like, yeah, we're kind of competing for the same market, but we're not. I mean, he wants a whole community. I want Norcal Karters. And he's been extremely helpful in the back end with just some of my stupid tech questions, or how do I do this? How do I do that? In fact, without James, I don't know if I'd ever start podcasting. And I know my podcasts aren't great, but I'm working on it. But the idea is just to get the information out there. If you like it, you listen. If you don't, you don't. And I'll just keep refining it. But James was really that pushing guy that's like, hey, try this. And so James at Kart Pulse, thank you very much. Quick shout out to Davin. It's only going to be a quick one because he stopped doing his podcasts. But Davin was doing the podcast for Kart Pulse. And his voice and his delivery was just so smooth. It's like, I ramble. I just blah, 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 blah. And then Davin is just so methodical, well-spoken, composed. And I've listened to his podcast many times. Like, man, I just love his delivery. And Davin was doing the podcast for Kart Pulse. So that's kind of like really what fired me up to do these for NorCal. It's like, wait, why can't I just once a week buy a mic, buy some headphones, get some podcast software, and just start rambling once a week? Hey, these are the events that are happening this week in NorCal Karting. And I'll do another podcast down the road with some of the guests we've had on. But I think we've had some great guests. And every single guest I have on, I always learn something. And I just really enjoy it. And it might not be for everybody, but one day I'm going to have that one guest that it's just going to just speak to you. And that's all I ask. Just one guest speaks to one person. That's all I can ask for. And so James, Kart Pulse, thank you. And then we have Challenge of the Americas. They're our current sponsor. And we had Andy on a couple months ago. We did a podcast, and it was only supposed to be like 20 minutes. I think it went for an hour and 45 minutes. That was a great conversation I had with him. And I've kind of known Andy for years. I knew who he was, but I didn't really know Andy. And again, via the podcast, it gave me a chance to get to know Andy, and it was nice. And I'm going to butcher his last name, but I'm going to get it better than what I used to say. Andy Seisman, and that was my intro. Yeah, this is Andy Seisman, and he goes, "Wrong, you're an idiot." I hope I get it right this time. Seisman, and I knew I was going to get his name wrong, and then I went on Facebook and looked up how he spelled his name. I've been spelling the guy's name wrong for like 10 years. So